If you should come to realize this practice and shinjing, rejoice at the conditions from the distant past that have brought it about. Namo Amgavutsu, Naman Naps, Naman Naps, Naman Naps, Naman Naps, Naman Naps. Well, good morning to you, everyone from beautiful Los Angeles. I'm here in Seal Beach with my parents, and this is the gohonzon, or the obutsudan that they have. Actually, my dad's father grew up in Kochi, and he had a temple called Daizenji, and this is the gohonzon to that temple. Unfortunately, it burned down because of the air raids during World War II. But one of the members had saved the gohonzong and brought it under their care and took care of the gohonzong, and that's why we still have it till this day. And so we're very happy to have this obutsudan with us. And so I think the followers of that temple, they would save the gohonzon during times of disaster, and I really think that that's very admirable and very respectable, and trying to do and having that spirit. I try to have that same spirit as well in wanting to do this if there is ever a emergency situation that would happen. Well, anyway, one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was about my way down to Los Angeles. So we packed our car full of things, and they're mostly my son's things. And they're like, toys and his favorite blankie, which is not really a small blankie. It's this really big, fluffy blankie that he has. And I was as I was loading the car, before you know it, my trunk was all full, and the whole car was full of things, and it was occupied by things or people, right? And so when I got on the road, I noticed that the car was noticeably slower than usual, right? Because it was heavier than usual. And so it would take a lot more to accelerate, take more time, right? And I had to step on the gas a lot more. And then when I got on the freeway, I went on the fast lane as I usually do when I drive, but I noticed that because the car was heavy, that there were cars passing me up to go, and so I had to get into the slow lane and to be able to kind of let the traffic go through. And so when I think about this, I know what's on my car or what's in my car, and I know the reason why I'm going slow, but I can't tell the people around me, right? I can't say like, "Hey, I'm sorry for going slow, but I can't help. There's a lot of luggage I'm carrying around, right?" I can't say that to people around me, so all they can see is this car that's going slowly on the freeway. And so I got to kind of thinking, how many times have I gotten mad at and maybe honked at people for going slowly on the road, and or driving in the way that I did not like, right? But maybe there was a reason why they were driving that way, right? Maybe it's because that person was much older in age and didn't have as much confidence on the road, or maybe they're foreigners, and they're not too familiar with U.S. laws, right? My wife said that when she first came here, she was terrified of the roads here because of the crazy driving that people do here. Or maybe someone is colorblind or something, and then or hearing impaired, or maybe that person sprained an ankle and isn't able to kind of push on the gas as much. Or maybe that person just lost a loved one or a pet animal, right? And is kind of having a traumatic day, right? And so who knows, right? There could be a whole list of reasons or an array of emotions as to why people are going through what they're going through. But all we can see, right, is that person driving in that way, right? That is inconvenient to us. So, I get angry and I get frustrated and irritated by what they do. But and we've all heard of that devastating news a few weeks ago that happened in Southern California, not too far from here, about that child that was shot in the abdomen and dies from his wounds. And so, just hearing that story really pains me. Yeah, it pains me to hear that, right? But returning back to my point, I think we do not see a lot of things that people have experienced in their lives. What we see is the situation right now only, and how it's in relation to us. When I see my friends or my coworkers and my family members, I see what's in front of me, but I forget that these people have their individual experiences all throughout their lives. And I'm completely oblivious to all the positive and negative experiences they may have seen throughout their lives. Of course, this doesn't just apply to the car example. I think this also applies to human beings in their lives themselves, right? And I would like to show a picture that might share this. Okay. So this is a picture of two people, let's say Jennifer and Jim, who see each other for the first time. So one says hi, or not first time, but they see each other for the day. And then the other person says hi and hey, right? And so then uh, they see each other now, but they have their past individual lives all throughout their lives. So let's take Jim, for example. Um, Jim at, let's see, 3 years old, he went to Disneyland and had a great time with his parents. So he still has fond memories of eating cotton candy and enjoying the rides, right? But at 15, he experienced some bullying at school. And then at 30, he married his high school sweetheart, right? And then yesterday, his father just passed away, right? So there are all these experiences that happen in this person's life, but we now only see this person now, right? Let's take Jennifer, for example. At 6, she experienced death through the loss of her pet animal, right? And then at 22, I can't see this. She graduated from a prestigious law school. At 26, she was in a terrible car accident, so she still has issues with driving on her own. And last year, she was promoted at her job, so she's feeling very confident and very good about her place right now in life. Right? So these are all the past experiences that she has seen, right? So let me move on to the next page down here. When Jennifer looks at her own life, she can only see so much. She cannot see everything that's been happened in her life, or she isn't conscious of all the things that has happened to her life. At the same time, when she looks at Jim over here, what she sees is only their experiences together. Let's say they went to college together and they've been friends since college. So she knows Jim since college, but she doesn't know what happened before getting to college, his life before college, right? So the same goes for Jim, right? When Jim looks at himself, he can only see and be conscious of so much. And then when he looks at Jennifer, he can see even less. It's only less of what he knows, right? The Buddha in the sutras is stated to know all past experiences of every person, as well as the Buddha himself. What I take that to mean is that the Buddha knows and accepts you just as you are, right? Ari no mama, that's how they say it in Japanese, just as you are. So the Buddha embraces you just as you are because of all the experiences that you've seen in your past and your past experiences. Okay, so that's the sharing that I wanted to share with you today. So, I'd like to also share with you a personal anecdote. My wife and I, we often fight and get into arguments, and particularly on how to raise our child, right? I tend to be a lot more strict and stringent, and my wife tends to be a little bit more understanding and more calm in her approach. And when we disagree, in my head, I'm thinking I am right, right? But many times later on, I start to realize that maybe, I was in fact wrong, or maybe I got angry too quickly, and or I punished my son too quickly. There are many times that I realized that I was doing things based on my standards, and I would get angry, but I didn't take into account what my child was going through. And this is what my wife is trying to tell me. So my wife then teaches me about my bonbut nature that I have, that I do things based on this ego self, and I cannot see my own selfish nature. And being able to see this self as it is has to come from someone or something else other than the self. Eshinni-sama once explained that Shinran Shonin went through a phase of not knowing what to do with his life. He just came down from Mount Hiei after 20 years of trying very, very hard to attain enlightenment through rigorous practice. But when he heard of a dynamic teacher who went by the name of Honen, she explains that, quote, for 100 days, come rain or shine or come what may, 100日降るにも照るにもいかなる台風にも参りてありしに is what she says. So he went to see Honen Shonin to seek his guidance. And it is during this time that Shinan learns about the teachings of Amida Buddha's great compassion. And he becomes greatly moved by this wonderful and profound teaching of Tariki Hongang, or Amida Buddha's great compassion. But it's through Eshinni-sama's letters that we have an idea of who Shinran Shonin was. So in a sense, she is like the Buddha in that diagram that I showed you, that is telling us about Shinnan's past experiences, just like in the diagram that I showed you. And she is pointing out to us the different trials and tribulations that he has seen and has to go through as a person. She shows us that even Shinran Shonin himself, when he first learned of this teaching, did not believe it. He had great doubt and many doubt, but only when he went to Honen Shonin for 100 days and constantly questioning Honen Shonin about this teaching, that he finally was able to take refuge in the teaching of Amida Buddha's great compassion. So we see this human side to him that Eshinni-sama shares with us. So I'd like to conclude by saying today that the Buddha Dharma, the Buddha teaches us that there are many things that we don't know about ourselves, let alone other people, right? So now that we have this information, the way we treat ourselves and other people might change. Now the clerk at the DMV who is giving us a hard time, right, is not like that because they want to be like that, or they want to give us a hard time, right? They might be going through something in their lives. The person on the road driving slowly might be an elderly person who is scared to drive on the road, and that's why that person is driving cautiously, right? To these people, maybe we could think twice before snapping back at them or honking our horn at them. Right? Well, I guess we should treat others with the same respect and dignity as we would want to be treated as well. When we know that what we see in others is only one instance of that person, and behind that person is a whole string of past experiences, both positive and negative, we look at each other with more acceptance and understanding, I think. And this is what the Buddha Dharma is trying to teach us. The Buddha tells us that we are all in this together. And there is much more to this life than just what we see in front of us. Each person essentially is like a walking book, right? And what we are seeing at that particular moment is but one page in the unfolding of their vast and long life story. So with that, let's try to create a world that takes this important Buddhist teaching into account when we go out and engage with the world. Let's reflect on the Buddha Dharma that teaches us about who we truly are and how we can view the world through the eyes of great compassion. And with that, I would like to close today. Thank you very much. Please join me in Gassho. If you should come to realize this practice and Shinjin, rejoice at the conditions from the distant past that have brought it about. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Thank you very much.